Hello, this is Robert Radford, 50 Years of Chess. My opponent today is one Mr. Dave Tipper. Good friend of mine, Dave. We've known each other quite a long time now, and we've played lots of times. He beat me the very first time we played. He understood the King's Gambit a little bit better than I did. But I'm pleased to say that I've won most of our encounters when we've played or we've drawn. Dave's a good player. He knows what's what. He would admit his biggest fault is he takes a little bit long making his moves, and that can, put more pressure on him later in the game. So he must have been one of the ones who was really pleased when the increment was introduced in Bristol chess. So let's look at this game. Dave was white, and he opened with e4. So I went for a Sicilian, knight f3, knight c6, swap off pawns, e5. Now this is an old line in the Sicilian known as the Lowenthal variation, after the famous master Lowenthal. Dave went for knight b5, a6 and knight d6. So in this variation, black swaps off, queen retakes, and then this is where the mechanics of the opening come into play, as black plays queen f6. It's good if queen swap. There is lines where white play queen c7, but the best line is what Dave played, which is queen back to d1. Now here, staying with the book line, queen g6 puts pressure on the e pawn, which is unprotected, and the g pawn, which holds the bishop back on c1, so it can't develop because it has to protect that pawn. Knight c3, knight e7 with the threat of castle on d5, bishop e3, castle g3. So Dave is trying to solve this problem of what to do, and he's decided that g3 is the answer. d5. Now that's really dangerous because I'm threatening to push the pawn on again to d4, so he has to take it. But what black does in this wonderful old opening is play knight b4, which now threatens c2 with a fork and winning the rook with the knight. So Dave played bishop d3, the most obvious move. Knight takes on d3, check. Queen takes, and bishop f5. So this is really tremendous opening play that Lowenthal thought out in this opening, where he's got all his pieces developed and he's got a good game. And again, it's threatening the c2 pawn. So there's no problem getting the pawn back if he so wishes. Black plays rook c8. I'm not going to take the pawn just yet. I can still take it if I want. Next move. So I'm developing my rook. He's defending the pawn now. And I brought the other rook into the game. So I have here, according to Stockfish, modest minus 0.8 advantage at the moment. Dave decided to castle, bit drafty around his king side with no bishop on g2. That's a bit dangerous. He didn't want to leave his king in the centre, but he has to be wary of those holes on h3 and f3. He played rook into e1, and I brought my knight up to f5. Dave moves into queen to e2, and I played this tricky move which is knight h4. He can't take it because he's pinned, but it has some sting to it. He played f3, and I pushed the f pawn up. So I'm putting pressure now strongly on his king side. They've moved the bishop back to defend the g pawn, and then I moved the bishop down in. Imagine this. I played it so that if he did go pawn takes knight, I go bishop attacks queen, and he would have to go back to f2, but he wouldn't be able to because it'd be discovered check. Yes. G takes knight, bishop takes f3, and I'm threatening his queen with a discovered check and a mate on g2. So he just cannot take that knight. So he played rook again, this time along to d1, and I played bishop takes, skewering the queen to the rook. And they played queen e3, but this is not what I'm after. I want more than just winning the exchange here. I want to win this game. So I'm coming in with queen to g4 with the threat of going to h3 and checkmating him on g2. So he has to meet this threat, which he does with rook d2. So now I played the typical Sicilian line with black, where the rook sacks on c3, and he could take with the queen, and Stockfish says he should, but he didn't. He took with the pawn because he wants to keep his queen there. Stockfish is now showing a deficit of 4.8 against white here, so that indicates that he's lost from here now. I played bishop into e4, which was why I played rook takes knight, so that bishop is a monster bishop there on e4, and he cannot remove it. He can't get close to removing it. He can't get either side of the rook with a rook or anything because of that pawn on e5. So now this is real trouble. He's gone back to d1. I went to knight to f6. Should I have gone queen h3? I think maybe I should have. With a threat of mate. He may have to have taken the bishop with the queen, I don't know. But anyway, I went knight f3. We were both in a bit of time trouble. Dave was in chronic time trouble now. I was starting to get in time trouble myself. Knight takes h2 check, king to e1. That's probably why I missed queen to h3. So I could go back again with the knight for a check, but I played queen h3. Yeah, queen h3. So I'm going to drive him out more into the middle, where we can deliver a checkmate if we can. c4. He's trying to make room for the king, so he could go to d2 if checked on f1, and then he would have been open to escape, but after I checked him, I was able to take this c4 pawn, and he flew out with his queen because he's virtually lost on time now. He flew out with his queen to b6, trying to give himself a flight square anywhere where he could escape, but it's too late. He can do nothing now. He's going to be mated in just a move or so, and his clock went, sadly, but he was losing anyway. And this was a game where I think it's safe to say it was a bit of a crush, but Dave would not be upset if I said that, because it's true. He didn't know how to handle Lowenthal, and if you've never played against it before, because it's so old, it's not new, it's old. And that's what I like about the old openings. You can look to them sometimes and get some little ideas. And when you see some little nice trappy, well, not trappy, but openings that can cause you lots and lots of trouble, it's worth employing, because nowadays most people are looking more at the moderner openings, and they're not prepared for such an opening as the Luenthal. But it worked, and I won this game very comfortably. And actually Stockfish is saying it's a mate in 4. So let's see how that goes. If Dave would have played bishop d4, the rook would have taken. He would have to taken with the queen, and I would have taken his queen. Then he goes to e2, and the bishop plays check. He has to go back on the back rank, and then queen into e3. So there was the mate. Thank you for watching this game, and I hope to see you again later on with some more chess. Thank you.